Hey, welcome back. And today we're talking about the 30-day road trip that I just concluded to New England, more specifically to Massachusetts, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. And I had three main goals set on this trip. First and foremost, the trip was to start sharing my story of living with PTSD and how fly fishing over the last year has helped me begin true healing and building new relationships and just getting back outdoors. The next goal was to speak with other veterans and other people to try to entice them to get back outdoors, to fly fish. Of course, fly fishing is what this show's about, right? But really just get back outdoors. So that was speaking with the veterans, other just people, so maybe the message could get spread. And the final one was, of course, if you're going to go on a fly fishing trip, you've got to fly fish and you want to catch fish. So, of course, I set out on this trip beginning on May 20th. And I did so in the camper now pictured that I had built just a few weeks prior to, or really I finished it just a few days before the trip started. I started it a couple weeks before. And the camper itself turned out awesome. But before I get in there, a question from one of the folks that donated to me for this trip kind of asked this. What really sets this apart from being an actual vacation? What are you going to do that folks watching aren't going to think this was just a trip, a vacation for you to go fly fish in New England? And the first story I'll tell you about right now, before I get into anything else about where we fished or anything like that, is we have a gentleman, his name is Sid. He's a part of our Project Healing Waters, and Sid is an incredible person. We're always talking about fishing. We're talking about personal lives and just we're friends and we do what friends do. And he donated some flies, some food, and even a lumbar pack for my trip, which was incredible. The food was awesome. I caught fish on the flies, and the pack is just comfortable and works really well. But most importantly, Sid messaged me throughout the trip. I'm not sure, every few days I'd get a message, for him just checking in, making sure I was okay, kind of seeing where I was at and whatnot. And when the trip was over and I got home, we talked a little bit more about it. But his message to me, and it was just very, I'm just be upfront, heartwarming, really, really touched me. He said, "Hey, thank you for bringing me along the trip with you." And when I sit back and I think about that message alone, that this gentleman was able to kind of come along the journey with me and share it as, we communicated, and then he watched the videos, and, just that if I could ever reach just one person, I feel like I did that. And someone told me on the trip that if that one person was me, that I was able to get better healing. That was good, right? And I feel like I was there. But the fact that he gave me that message, it let me know that what I was doing was really worthwhile. And so that's one of the stories. Another quick story is halfway through the journey, I'm trying to get out late afternoon to go scout the river in North Conway, New Hampshire on the Saco River. And this young guy just starts talking to me about fly fishing in the parking lot, saw the camper, saw my fly rod, and he mentioned to me that he was trying to get into fly fishing because he was dealing with a recent divorce and his mother was just diagnosed with brain cancer, and he needed to find something to kind of keep him busy so he wouldn't be thinking about all that stuff. And he asked me if I could show him a few things. So we got this fly rod out that he had just purchased from Amazon. We put it together. We added the backing, the fly line, leader, tippet. We put it all together, showed him how it worked. And then we went to the field and we just began like a simple cast instruction type thing, and kind of talked more about fly fishing and things that he might need or whatnot. But it was just cool that this was somebody that was outside being a veteran that was also dealing with something that could really use, just a friend, somebody to to share with. And he did that, and we were able to bond quickly over the fly fishing thing, and it was just nice knowing how to give that instruction from what I had been given throughout my year. So those are just a couple of the stories. And I actually have to share one more because this is really cool. I was up in Pittsburgh, New Hampshire, fishing on the Connecticut River, and there's a bridge there called the Old Man's Bridge. And I didn't know why it was called this, but people were talking about it. Well, one day I met 5 older gentlemen. 2 of them are pictured right here, and the one on the right, the shorter one, is Franny. Franny and I talked for a good little while, 2 days in a row out there, and he offered to give me a shirt that a veteran gave him for some of the work that he volunteered to do, because of the work I was like volunteering to do, getting out there and sharing and trying to entice people to get out. Very great offer. Couldn't be more humbled by it. I kindly declined it though, because that's something he earned and something that, I told him, I really would appreciate that. But what you have given to us veterans and were able to do and touch somebody, that's something that you got. And I want you to be able to hold that, because I appreciate you also doing that. But just the offer, again, those 3 stories, those ones alone were cool enough for me to say when I got home that, yes, this was a success. But to go further on, I'll just touch briefly on some of the stuff, because obviously I know you're not going to want to sit here and listen to a whole bunch of fishing stories, and that's why I have the individual videos. I think I have 4 fishing ones already done, and there's more to come. But just real briefly, I started the trip off going to Vermont, and specifically Branch Pond in the Green Mountain National Forest. The idea was to get with a few friends from high school, some I hadn't even seen in 30 years, and it used to be a hiking weekend, but we're all older. Some of us can't really get up into the Appalachian Trail anymore and hike it the way we would like to, and so it's become a 4-day, 5-day camping trip. Well, anyway, got up there. Very rainy, very cold, very windy, and even on the second day, it started to snow a little bit on us, which I wasn't ready for that. I'm up there in shorts, flip-flops, and short sleeves because, again, I'm coming from Georgia, where it's very warm, even when it rains. So anyway, that was a success, mostly because I got to hang out with some friends, but I also got to hang out with a childhood friend, the brother of my very best friend, Steve. His name is Brian. And we just went out on the kayaks. It even began to rain, but we didn't care because he is a soldier. He's out now a first responder, but a soldier who was in a roadside attack that killed 2 of his soldiers and injured him. He was awarded the Purple Heart and the Bronze Star. And we just, you'll see the interview later, but it was just nice to be able to get out there and talk with him and let him share the experience with me. And he even mentioned that it was nice to be able to speak with somebody that, understands the experience. No, I wasn't in a roadside bombing. None of my people have died in front of me. I have lost friends, of course, but just the connection of being military folks. So that was really cool. So the next thing that I did was head over to Manchester, Vermont, to Orvis, and I stopped in at the flagship store, which you can see the video on that. What an incredible place. The gentleman, when I walked in, was very gracious to let me record and, kind of talk to me about what the store was, where everything was, which was really cool. I then went down, and they have a couple ponds, one like aquarium inside, a very clean one on the outside, and then 2 ponds. Excuse me. And again, if you look at the video, you can see the difference between the ponds, but they had rainbow, brook, and brown trout in there, big fish, which was just really cool to be able to see. And they were actually given a casting lesson at the time. So that was a pretty cool thing. While there, I kind of shot down, I could have fished a Battenkill there, the Battenkill River, the iconic Battenkill River, very tough river to fish. I could have fished it there, but I went down to Arlington to fish. Too high, too fast, but I got in the river just so that I could have been in the Battenkill River. From there, ran up to Danby, Vermont to get in Otter Creek that afternoon. And again, too high, too fast because of all the rains. But what a view. that I got while standing in Otter Creek of the mountainside there. So that part was just pretty cool that I got to give it an opportunity. Then for the Vermont closeout, I headed down to Bennington to fish the Walloomsac River. There I met a couple guides, Ollie from Harrison Anglers, and then Christian and Andrew from Green Mountain Anglers. Both companies, their guides were incredible. Ollie, which I've already done a video with him on the Deerfield River in Mass, he offered while I was in Vermont that if I was ever in the Charlemont area of Massachusetts, the Berkshires, look him up. And if he had the time, we'd fish in his backyard. And his backyard, literally, guys, literally is the Deerfield River. And what an experience that day and education for me on the fishing aspect. Andrew of Green Mountain Anglers, I couldn't land the brookie anywhere up in that area, so he sent me to a private section or a hidden section of a creek. So I can't disclose that, no videos of that, because he wants me to just kind of keep that, which very understandable, and I will respect that. But I was able to close out my slam there with the Brook, Brown, and Rainbow. Then I headed over to Portsmouth, New Hampshire to do some striper bass fishing with a Project Healing Waters group. And the cool part about this was no striper were caught. Not that I saw, anyway, while I was there. But I got to speak with Mr. Lee on what Northeast Passage was doing for their Project Healing Waters. Northeast Passage is a therapy facility, and they do other things other than just get out there fly fishing. There's arts, crafts, learning to play the guitar, gardening, different things, just other things that are helping people get out there. So Northeast Passage, affiliated with University of New Hampshire, worked with the veterans, which is incredible, but more importantly, bring them into other activities as well, which is the goal, get your mind to something different. So that was pretty cool there. Got to speak to a couple veterans, and I learned some things from them. I think I was able to teach them some things about what I was doing and why I was doing it. Then I went up to North Conway, New Hampshire for the Saco River. That was a dud of a fishing trip, but like I had mentioned earlier, meeting that one gentleman, that meant everything. So I may not have caught any fish there, but I think I was able to relate with somebody and just be able to help them get started into the fly fishing thing. And then from there, I hit a small river on the way up to Pittsburgh. There's a video on that where it's, oh my gosh, the rain was just so intense, but it was so fun to be able to just pull over on the side of a highway, see a river, get your rod out, run down there, and just see what you can. And I slung a little brookie, didn't land him, but either way, it was still fun to be able to accomplish just that. And anyway, then I headed up to Pittsburgh, New Hampshire to the Connecticut River. Very, very incredible place to fish. I actually stayed 5 days there. I met a lot of people. We talked about a lot of fishing. There was a lot of personal connection where I met this one woman, Emily, pastor. She actually went to school in Emory over in Atlanta, which was really incredible because when she asked where I was from, I mentioned North Georgia, and she asked specifically where because she knew the area, which was pretty cool. Fished a couple days in the river, speaking to her, the older gentleman, Franny, and his friends, and then just other people as I kind of walked around and hit different parts of the river. There, I was able to get some brown and rainbow, but I did see brook caught. I saw landlocked salmon, which was really awesome to see. That is definitely a place I'm going back to. Population 800, 12 miles from the Canadian border, moose country, bear country, deer country, and it was just really incredible. Only thing I saw there, though, were the deer. And that video is coming soon. From that portion, I went down to Magalloway River in Maine, the Rangeley Lakes area of Maine. First day there, I was greeted by a moose on the side of the road. Got to see 3 different moose, one being a bull moose, which kind of gave me a good stare down, which was kind of cool because I wanted to get out and get closer to get a better picture, but once it stared me down, I was like, smart move is to stay in the vehicle. So I definitely did that. But I met a guide there, Tom Welch of Magalloway Guide Service. Told him kind of on the first day what I was doing. I was scouting the area, what I was doing there, and why I was doing it. And he just told me, hey, then I'm going to give you the spot that I fish, where I take all my clients. Good spot. Got down there, got a couple fish on the first day. Wasn't able to land anything, which, okay. I was doing my dropper off a indicator rig, and it was still cool to see. There was a lot of fishermen out there, good water, a good learning experience. Again, more rain, more quick water. But the next day on my way out, he was on his way off the river, and he mentioned to me that I should try a elk hair caddis, a small size 20 elk hair caddis. He actually gave me one that he tied because he likes the additional color under there that he uses, and said very successful. I kind of spoke with him. I was like, I haven't seen anything rising. I've seen the bugs flying and things like that, but nothing rising. He's like, well, I took my clients there this morning, suggested it. We caught a half dozen. So I get out there, and there's a video on this already. And oh my gosh, what excitement there is when you can cast a dry fly out, watch it float across that water, get a nice drift, and a fish just come up and hit it. Now, I didn't catch anything bigger than, I don't know, 5-6 inch fish, but the fact that I was able to learn how to get that drift, practice that casting a little bit, because the cast just felt really different than anything else with an indicator on there. And I know now it's something I have to work more on to get the right drift with the right mend, the right cast, hit the right spot to drift by, that you're not out into too quick a water, you're not into too still a water, you know, where the fish are staying and wanting to eat. So learn some good stuff from him on that. Thank you, Tom, for giving me a chance to land some fish on a dry fly, because I would have never thought to go to that. Pretty much at this point, I've learned so much from people along the way already that it was incredible. But from Maine, I ran down to Cape Cod, Monomoy Bay, to fish for some striper. A lot of walking, 1.5 miles out, which means anytime you're going back in, it's another 1.5 miles, depending on how far you walked out into the flats. So I did that in the morning. I got there. There was a couple older folks, husband and wife, in the flats fishing. They weren't catching anything, but they told me I could go up to the point and kind of look at it. So I did that, and they kind of gave me the rundown of, because I was told you want to fish low tide. Somebody else told me I wanted to fish high tide. And these guys told me I wanted to fish when the tide was moving in or out, because that's when the food would be kind of flowing in and out. And anyway, I did that. I waited a little bit, walked up to the point, looked across the way. Guys were catching all kinds of fish on the other side of the bay, the harbor. And so the only way to get back there is I had to walk a 1.5 miles back out. Now I'm in waders boots. It's hot. I got my raincoat on because it's a rainy day. Just pouring sweat to get back to my truck, drive 20 minutes around the harbor, get to the parking lot over there. It is another mile walk out to the harbor from there through soft sand. So get out there. I meet 4 young gentlemen. I haven't done the video on that yet, but 4 young gentlemen were fly fishing for it, and they were catching striper, herring, and they talked to me, heard the story, and they're like, hey, then you come fish this little spot, which I really didn't want to take their spot, but they were very gracious to say, get in the spot and whatnot, and I landed 2 herring. No striper, but I did see some striper running after the herring. The only negative I had on that part of the trip was some of the boats that were coming in were putting so much fuel oil into the water that you could see the gleam across the water. And then my fly line, because obviously you're stripping it in, I was just feeling so much greasy stuff on my fly line. So I just left then. But what a good opportunity. It was incredible that I spent just one day there and was able to catch some fish on an 8-weight rod. So that part was really cool for an experience. Headed out, stopped in to see one of my other best friends from high school, Danny Garland, and I hadn't seen him in 30 years, to be honest, or at least 25. Maybe we saw each other at the 5-year class reunion, but it was nice to get to go dinner with him and talk, catch up, and that part was really cool. From there, I headed to the Deerfield River in the Berkshires of Massachusetts in Western Mass. I fished with Ollie, the guide I had met up in Vermont. I called him. He said, hey, I just happen to have a day off. I'm getting ready to go, to Utah for the summer to guide. So come on out. We fished a really technical spot because drift boats were taking up the pools, and there's a video on that. And I was able to land a rainbow after his instruction of how to use this. I was using for the first time a chubby Chernobyl for my indicator plus a dry fly option. And then he sent me to a spot on the Green River later in the day, which I'm not going to pinpoint that to an exact location. But he sent me a pin. I went there on my own. I had the same rig set up, which the purple chubby Chernobyl with a pheasant tail dropper. And I caught 2 nice rainbow on the dropper, and then really one hit hard on that chubby Chernobyl and landed that. And again, I have a video already posted on the Green River for that, which that was, again, just being able to take some instruction from a guide and take that on my own later in the afternoon and be able to catch fish was really, really cool. From there, I headed to the Millers River, met up with my brother, my baby brother Henry, which I haven't seen my family in a while. Of course, being from Massachusetts, my whole family is there. But I was able to connect with my brother Henry, and we fished on the Millers River. We were using spin rods there, but caught me a bass. He was catching, I don't know what he was doing, but he was catching every other cast. He was catching something, which was really cool. That's one of his favorite spots on the Millers River, which I won't disclose that spot either, because that's his spot. But it was nice to just be able to connect with my brother, fish there. And then we went to a park where we went through a casting lesson on the fly rod. And he seems like he's going to be hooked on the fly fishing thing, which is really cool because that'll give me an opportunity when I go home to be able to get out on the rivers of our hometown, which is like the Millers River, the Deerfield River, the Connecticut River. We're 3 hours from where we grew up to the Canadian border, so you can get into Maine quickly, New Hampshire, Vermont, and just fish some iconic rivers up there. So I really hope he dives in deep with it. In fact, he should be getting his first fly rod in this weekend, and I sent him some flies, leader tippet, just to help him with his first setup. So that was really exciting. On that same day, though, I also went with my buddy Chip. I had met Chip a couple years ago on a side-by-side trip in Maine, him and his family. And so only that one time, but we stayed in touch. He sent me some pheasant tail after his hunting season, which was cool to tie flies. He used to fly fish. He does a lot of spinner fishing with his boys now, which is really cool to see. He uses, his boat in his fishing time or side-by-side up hunting to get his mental health days, which was really cool. But anyway, he invited me out on the boat onto a lake in New Hampshire, and we spent the entire morning fishing for bass. And so in my entire lifetime prior to this, I had caught 4 bass my entire life. That day alone, I exceeded that, and I caught rock bass, smallmouth bass, largemouth bass, which they all caught as well. But it was just really cool because, I got spinner fishing explained to me, and the wacky worm setup, and a top water bait setup, and why you fish it and how you fish it, how you jerk it. So again, more fishing lessons, which I thoroughly enjoy. And I know for me, when I'm trying to help people learn, which I'm still very much beginner, but I know enough that I can help get started, right? But when people give their expertise back and explain it, it's just so cool, because I know for them it's the same feeling of, yes, we're getting him on this and he's going to be able to fish in. And when I caught a fish, you can hear the banter in the video. We have a video of that already. There's some banter from his son, from him, from me. But it really, really, really good time. And I will take him up on the offer to go back and fish for an entire day out there again. It was just that incredible. And then that really concluded all the fishing. For setups, I brought a 2-weight 6'6" rod for the very tight streams. Wasn't able to land anything with that rod, but I got some little ones on as I crawled stealthily up the streams. The 3-weight 10-foot nymphin rod, did that a few times. I actually used it also as an indicator float-in type system a couple times, because that's what I had readily available. But that worked. I caught some fish on that. Then I had my 9-foot 5-weight. Obviously, caught a bunch of fish on that. That was the main rod I used and caught most of my fish. And then when I got to the ocean, I used a 9-foot 8-weight, and that worked incredible. The the trip as overall was a success. I literally got to share my story with veterans, with guides, with just other folks that were out and about that saw what I was doing. The camper attracted so many people. I'm still getting that today. It's still on the truck, and I might leave it on there forever because it really. I made jokes, but I'm kind of serious when I say this. It garnered more attention than this YouTube channel does. So the camper was pretty awesome, and I need to do my deep dive on that here shortly. That would be my my next week's video. But in doing all that, the camping, I camped in some rest areas. I camped in some public parking spots. I camped in 2 different state parks, in the excuse me, or in the campground in Cape Cod, which was cool. So I had facilities there, washed the clothes. I stopped at one truck stop once to do the shower laundry thing there, because I kind of waited on that and the campgrounds to be able to do the laundry piece because I had enough that I could spread it out, through the time. And that was pretty cool. Again, a lot of rain, but it didn't deter me. In fact, I fished a lot in the rain. I didn't care. I was on this trip. I was already committed, and I was going to get out there and fish. So that was really cool. But to be able to share the story, to be able to feel like I connected with a lot of veterans and other people, that's what the main thing is for, is to show people that, hey, this PTSD thing is not a death sentence, that you can get back out there, find yourself, build friendships, fish, and whatnot. And a couple of the things that I did learn. I went to Thomas & Thomas, didn't have a good experience there only because there was some miscommunication on a tour possibility. I just abruptly showed up into the store just to see if I could tour. We kind of talked about maybe the next day or the day after. Anyway, there's some miscommunication there. I didn't get the tour there, so I'll hit that when I go back. Another thing is, I learned that I have been extremely spoiled in the year that I began my fly fishing. And the reason I tell you this is experiencing the other Project Teal and Water programs that I did, they don't fish much, and they don't have the access to the water like the one I'm a part of in Oakwood, Georgia has. And so anyway, I did reach out to the upper echelon of Project Teal and Waters. I've already had a video conference with 3 other folks, the vice president of operations and 2 field support folks. So Chris, Allison, and Becca. I worked with my regional coordinator, Chris, and my program lead here, Deborah, and I was just able to work my way up to be able to speak with them. And we had a very good, successful talk about where the programs are, where Project Teal and Waters is and where it's headed. And they asked me, to be a part of maybe giving a paper on why I believe our group works as well as it really does, as some bullet points. And so that turned out really well. And when I say I've been spoiled, here's my world in a nutshell for this. I found Project Teal and Waters Oakwood. We are given the opportunity to build fly rods, which I've built one successfully and caught fish. Learned to tie flies, was given the materials to do so. I tie the flies, and I've caught fish on those flies. And the final piece is that we have a river, an extremely, extremely sweet river on the Sequoia River, specifically River's Edge on the Sequoia. Tammy Harris and her late husband, Alex, created a spot where we could come down twice a month during the trout season and fish their trophy trout water. So, we're getting in this water every 2 weeks for 8 months out of the year, 9 months out of the year to be able to fish for trophy trout. And I can't tell you the number of great trout that I've caught, but just to have the experience to be able to learn to cast, to drift, to set, to net, to all of it, right? Play the fish. Just what an opportunity. So another place that I've been spoiled with is Veterans Fly Fishing. It's another organization that gets veterans together and fishes every other Monday for also 8 months on the Etowah River. The uniqueness of here is you have a lot of skilled fly fishermen and 5 casting instructors, certified FFI, Fly Fisher International cast instructors. And I have been able to learn so much just in this year from all of them. Some gentleman, Neil there, he's been fly fishing literally 70 years. So you're getting to be able to learn a lot of stuff about fly fishing there. The next element that I've been spoiled with here in Georgia is, specifically here in North Georgia, are the outfitters. Jimmy Harris, owner of Unicoi Outfitters in Helen and Clarksville, Georgia, phenomenal human being, helps with a lot of different organizations, and he was very crucial to helping us here at 706 Fly Guy. So Jimmy, you and Unicoi, thank you so much. Jeff Wright with Alpharetta Outfitters in Alpharetta, Georgia, he was also extremely helpful in helping me get prepared for this trip. So I thank you and all the folks out there at Alpharetta Outfitters as well. Big T with Big T Outfitters in Clarksville, Georgia. Thank you for the fly tie materials to get started, to make sure that I had all the primary flies to be able to have on this trip. Dr. Edward Pham of Pham Chiropractic in Dallas, Georgia. Thank you for being a mentor and for your help here with 706 Fly Guy. Very, very instrumental as well. The Foothills chapter of Trout Unlimited, thank you guys. Another instrumental piece to helping ensure the success of 706 Fly Guy. So I've just had a lot of help and assistance along the way. So I've been blessed this year. And finally, I'd just like to end with the whole idea that the trip was just incredible success, from the camper to places to stay in, the people I met, the ability to share the story, to feel like I did reach people, and that I think there's a possibility that I could change some lives with what I did, and what people are starting to watch. I mean, I've gained a good number of subscribers, which I'm hoping means that people are interested in this message and want to share it as well. And yeah, I just couldn't be more stoked by it. So this is definitely going to be an annual thing. If I could add a few more little trips here and there to get out and talk more, or the ability to do speaking events as I had done earlier in the year, being able to speak with Project Healing Waters folks on maybe how some things could be different to make it a little bit more enjoyable, or success for all the chapters and things like that. So overall, the trip was incredible. It was an incredible success, and just a huge, huge thank you to everybody who's been a part of supporting what we are doing here at 706 Fly Guy, me and my wife, Lisa. And I look forward to just doing more, and stay tuned for more fishing videos. And while the trout season's out, I'm going to start doing some more educational videos and just see what we can do to learn together and become better stewards of the world of fly fishing. So until the next time, everybody, tight lines.